Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Summit Race Equipment Midwest Drag Racing Series post-show. Luke Levens here alongside Mike Narks, our intrepid pit reporter. Mike, we had a great weekend in Odessa, and we are here to round up all of the chaos. It was a condensed one-day chaos in Odessa. But first off, I want to start off by saying, if you haven't been to Flying H, get there. Fantastic facility. We absolutely adored working with them. The staff is top notch. The facility is already one of the best we've been at, and it's not even done. So, I mean, a big thank you to everybody at Flying H Drag Strip, and a thank you to you for following us, for popping in our chat. Thanks to our Flow Racing, who puts up with all of our thises and that's, and make sure to sign up with Flow Racing to see all of the action as well. And Narks, we have a fun weekend behind us. Lots of stuff going on here, as I'm hoping I still got you there. Hey man, what's up, Jeff? But anyway, so we had a fun weekend at the Summer Smackdown at the Midwest Drag Racing Series. We had a full field of pro mods, 16 pro mods on property, plenty of upset action, plenty of absolute chaos where it comes to funny car, dragster, top sportsman, and our Pro 420. There's Michael Narks again. You don't have an audio. That's all right. There we go. All right. Anyway,
how about that? Sorry about that, man. My internet and I have fist fought today, and it's winning right now.
Did you change your microphone too?
Oh yeah, I had to. I'm on my phone right now. So,
dang, goodness gracious, man!
Great.
All right. Hey, it is. We got to do what we got to do here. But Mike, real quick, man. Flying H Drag Strip, two thumbs up. Well, I was talking about that when you dropped out.
It's amazing. That track is gorgeous. It's incredible. Absolutely gorgeous. It does everything like it should. It's amazing.
It's incredible. The staff is second to none. The safety features are incredible. I mean, they have the standard, walls and very smooth track, etc. But the long runoff does what it should. The uphill run on that long runoff lets those make some of those cars not even get up before the turnoff, because it's so effective at slowing cars down. Which sounds like, it's a pain. It's not really. It's painless. We just push a couple of those cars off. But what it's great is it's the ease of mind for me, you, drivers, teams to go, dude, if something goes wrong, you got a really long way to get up there. It's a fantastic facility.
You got plenty of room to slow it down.
Oh, yeah. And that hill will slow it down naturally. It's a great track, man, and I can't wait to be back once it's all finished. They only put windows in a week before we got there, man.
It's amazing the amount of work. They were still working on it all day Friday while we were in the tower and people were making test passes.
We got in Friday and they had a miter saw going because they were putting in hardwood on the floor above us.
Yep. Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, let me see if I can jump back in. I'll be right back.
Yeah, have at it. While you do that, I'm going to go over our winners this week. We'll hit them all in depth. Lots of great stories coming out. But a big old congratulations to Ron Minix. Ron won his first Pro Mod event of the year, and that is Ron's first win of the year and his first win since 2022, when he won the second race in Ferris, Texas. It is also overall Ron's sixth win since 2020. And a big congratulations to Ron. Steve Macklin took the win in Top Alcohol Funny Car. That is Steve Macklin's fourth win since 2020. He won 2 last year. He's got his first one under his belt this year. Big congratulations to Jeremy Maples as well. He grabbed his second Midwest Drag Racing Series win in his second race. He went back-to-back, and so too did Rod Moore. Rod Moore joined what I'm coining the illustrious 5 wins club. This is since 2020. Rod Moore has won his 5th event. He had 2 in 2022, 1 in 2023, and he won his 2nd this year. Of all of the racers in Midwest Drag Racing Series since 2020, Sean Bellimer, Keith Haney, Ron Minix, and Annie Whiteley, and now Rod Moore. Those are all of your 5-time winners, 5-time or more winners. So a big congratulations to Rod Moore as well. There's Narks back, and a big congratulations to Dave Pierce for the Pro 420 victory, as well as Olivia Danger, Olivia Mayer with a surprise win in a surprise race. Narks, good to have you back. How's it going, man? This is one of my favorite stories. We'll get into it a bit later, but big congratulations to Olivia Mayer as well as Haven Moverly.
Yes. And I don't have pictures of the juniors. I apologize about that. I was actually putting the pictures together as we were opening up the show. So got those. Sorry about that, but they are in the press release that went out and should be, everybody should see that on like Drag Illustrated, Dragzine, all that stuff today as well.
Absolutely. You know, it was wild weekend here at the Midwest Drag Racing Series. Are we just going to get into ProMod? I mean, we talked about how great the facility is, but let's talk about the racing it produced, right? What is a track if it's not fast and effective and produce great racing? And I'll tell you, the Flying H drag strip lived up to the flying and Flying H. Those cars were flying down the drag strip.
Oh my gosh.
I will start. Let's start. There's your winner, Ron Minix. I want to start briefly with Mark Mickey, if we can do that, because we'll start with the first day of testing. That was Thursday, where Mickey, ran an absolutely nightmarish, if you're other people, 362, 359, 357 and a 4. And I remember we were in the pits of another Pro Mod racer, and like the whole crew looks at each other when he runs that 59 and goes, "Oh, well, boys." I mean, it was nightmarish. I'm not sure what to say. It was an absolutely incredible hit. So Mark Mickey immediately starts. He immediately says, "Hey, I'm hot man on property right now, and you're going to have to deal with me the entire weekend." And if there's one guy that everyone's like, we kind of want to avoid him, it was Mark Mickey going into that first round of eliminations. When I look at the entire runs, I mean, Mark Mickey had the fastest run, as he did in Tulsa, for just about every run that he made, every round that he did. Let me go back over to the scorebook here. And if I look, here we go. Mark Mickey, 357 and a 4, the fastest testing run. 357 and a 6, the fastest run in Q1. 358.3, the fastest run in Q2. We weren't able to run a run in for Q3 due to weather. He also ran the fastest in round 1 of eliminations. Mark Mickey was the man to absolutely beat. And I mean, Mickey had it, and then everything went south. One of our big upsets, our big stories was frankly, a little chaotic at times around 1. Mark Mickey came in, and Mickey, as he crossed the line in the first round of eliminations, you saw quite a bit of smoke shoot out of his car. The question was, what went wrong? And he did have to do a full engine replacement. His crew absolutely thrashed on that car. And when Narks comes back, we'll have him talk about it. But his crew thrashed on that and had it actually fixed in like a couple minutes. I want to say it was under 20 minutes that they had it. They had him fixed in. It was very fast. Round 2 comes around, the same thing happens. And Mark Mickey said at one point, at 20 engines, man, there's nothing going to stop us here. Jeff Wooten, yes, Brian Lewis showed up and showed out. We'll get into him, but I wanted to highlight Mark Mickey just real quickly, because as we start with that pre-race, I mean, that was the story, and then it kind of fizzled out for Mark Mickey. Still looking for that win in 2024. There's Narc flipping through. Brian Lewis. There he is. Brian Lewis. Man, what a weekend Brian Lewis had, Mike. I mean, just incredible.
Yeah, it was also. I want to talk about the Mark Mickey thing because I was listening on my phone while you were talking. It was amazing. Those guys had the car from the time it entered the pits to the new engine completely wired, ready to fire was an hour. The engine swapped in 21 minutes. It was intense, to say the least. It was pretty amazing on that. Brian Lewis, great story here. Absolutely just hard working team, got it done, and just kept going rounds, man. It's pretty neat.
Now, they were down 4 guys in a golf cart this weekend, and they managed to set not just personal bests, but personal milestones in terms of making it to Brian's first ever finals. And I was texting Brian and Courtney just briefly throughout the event. Try not to distract too much, but also say congratulations. And she said their personal best, they've had 2 369s all time in Grumpy. And as I pull this up, how about, just a 371 in testing, 370 in Q1, 372 in Q2, which was midday Friday, right? So that was our slowest qualifying session. 371 in round 1, 372, and then in the finals, a personal best 368 and a 2. I mean, it's almost runners up were celebrating just as hard as the winners.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you have this level of racer coming into this whole thing, because these guys are taking it seriously. They are absolutely getting after it. They're working on stuff at the house. They're ready to come to race when they get there.
And you know who Brian Lewis marched through to get there in the semis? It was, I think, the upset of the weekend, maybe the upset of the year so far, and might very well be the upset of the year when we finish it. Who'd Brian Lewis go through in the semis? Mr. Narks, pop quiz.
Oh, dude, Mark Mickey.
Yeah, one and only Mark Mickey, fastest man on property, who, it should be said, had to replace that engine twice. He replaced it a second time.
Yeah.
And the second time is when he ran his, what did he run? I have it right here, 377 and a 2, which is still not a terrible number to be running.
No, not at all. And those guys, to have the thrash that they did this weekend, and the weekend they had in Tulsa too. They've swapped engines twice in Tulsa, so they've had their work cut out for them the last 2 races. But I'm telling you, they had a group of folks. I can't remember Bryce's cousin or sister's name, but she was saying that there were like 30 people that were in the pits there with them. It was amazing.
I remember watching the video that you were recording, and that was what was that? It seemed like that was 8 people that were at least on video.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 8 people were working on the car, and there were people bringing parts and things from everywhere. Everywhere that you had something stored, they were getting them there. It was pretty amazing.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to real quick. We talk about dark horses. We mentioned Keith Goolsby as a possible dark horse. I'm going to float this way. This is completely unprompted for those of you guys watching. How do you feel about Brian Lewis as a dark horse to win an event this year?
Man, I think he really showed that he can do it. The biggest thing is, like, every one of these guys is showing, hey, maybe my weekend.
It's all in the week.
Yeah.
We're not having that 2020 or 2021. My mind's a little fuzzy, where one guy wins 6 of 8 this year. In fact, you could argue that the strongest car right now is the one that hasn't won a darn event yet in Mark Mickey, right? I don't think anybody would argue that he doesn't have the quickest car on property, but it's guys that can throw up and throw down. And I think Brian Lewis, because you remember he got into the finals for Slammers in Tulsa as well.
Yeah, so did Ron. So Ron was put out by Chris Giuliano at Tulsa. And then now he goes all the way. So number 2 qualifier at Tulsa, number 2 qualifier at Flying H, and now comes out and wins it. Like, that just shows. I mean, he's ready. He's ready for sure.
He is absolutely, and a big congratulations. I mentioned Ron Minix grabbing a win. Ron, I think, has a has a case to be built for a championship run this year.
Mhm.
With the Purple Heart being new to him, that car is quicker than he was running last year. It's just consistent. It's beautiful. I mean, look at it, man.
Yeah. Agreed.
But
Agreed.
I really think that it's a shame for him that he went out in the first round versus Chris Giuliano, because there's a lot of points to be gained in those rounds in Tulsa,
Yep.
especially with the shortened schedule so far,
Yep.
thanks to that rain earlier this year. But I I I don't see Ron Minix not being a problem for everyone all year, man.
Oh, he's definitely going to be a problem. And you were talking about Keith Goolsby. Here's what's crazy. You know the cars we're talking about? Blower cars.
Blower cars, which
Like
is
it was an all blower final.
yeah.
Kind of one of the first times I've seen that anyways within Midwest. And I've only been to 4 races now, but it's one of the only times I've seen that.
It was last year that Nitrous was a very, very good package. And speaking of Nitrous, Keith Haney had a rough start. He had a trans brake wire failure on qualifying round number 2. All right,
Mhm.
then a throttle cable broke in Q1 that he told us about.
Yep.
So the Black Mamba had a bit of a rough start. But he eventually turned it around when it mattered most, round one eliminations, and he lost to Ron Minix in the semis. What I like is he was the hot car on property last year with
Yep.
Nitrous, right? Now he's competitive. He has a win, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be hard to say like he doesn't have, he has like 10 guys ahead of him, because he doesn't.
Right.
But he's in the mix, but he's not the clear number one. It was a blower on blower final. It was Nitrous winning event 1. It's that rule mix that is
Mhm.
written and revised, and it's monitored closely to make sure that whatever build you have, you can remain competitive.
Yeah. Well, and also I was doing the press release, a little bit of info with him today. He's still in the points lead, but barely.
Barely.
Barely. Yeah. If Ron had not went out first round last time, Ron could possibly be in the lead now. I mean, it's going to be that tight. This is going to be a season to watch. It's going to be like last season, 5 points separated as we went into the last event last year.
Keep in mind, as we move throughout this championship, the big number that I tell people to remember is the points that you win per round win. What is it, Mike?
I think is it 5 or 10 points per round win?
I believe it is 10 points per round
Yep.
win. Let me pull that up. But anyway, so the big number to remember is, points. Here we go. Series points. 2024 points. Yeah.
Did you pull that right up on the Midwest Drag Racing Series.com website?
I did indeed, right there. 20 points per elimination round win. That's what I thought. You said 10. Alternates earn 10 points for each round win, and then slammers are 5 points per round win. So 20 points per round win. And that, my friend, is the big number. Anything within 20 points is 1 round difference. Anything beyond under that is just a tiebreaker, basically.
Yeah.
So Keith is there, just a little, real close when it comes to where they are. There's 2024 point standing. Let's go over that. Keith Haney sitting there at 206 points. Just tenuously behind him is Pierce Racing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me zoom in there.
Yeah, so Ron's car.
Yep, Ron's car. Then Mark Mickey sitting P3. How about that? After testing in Tulsa, did you think, be honest with me, did you think after testing in Tulsa that Ron Minix would be third in points after 2 events?
You mean Mark Mickey being third?
Mark Mickey, excuse me.
No, but I knew that the red light in Tulsa hurt Mark a little bit. Did that get in his head? And as we move through the year, is that going to be something that's going to be a thorn? Like he's going to have to win an event to really kick his points way up, and he needs to be number 1 qualifier at an event, which he's done that twice now, right? So number 1 qualifier 2 times, and we're going to St. Louis for the next event. So he is a favorite for St. Louis because he won both races there last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like doubled up, I guess is what we'd say.
I would say if he doesn't win in St. Louis, and I'd need to talk to him, I'd need to have a one-on-one off the record. I'd say if he doesn't win in St. Louis, you would start to think he's got to be feeling the pressure, right?
Oh yeah, I think he's feeling the pressure now, and I think all these guys are. I think there's guys like Keith Goolsby that this is a brand new car to him, and look at what he's done so far.
Mhm.
Like, should we tell everybody what Ellen said about him? That he's a silent assassin. That he's
Keith
screw up.
Goolsby, yeah, the silent assassin, Keith Goolsby.
Yeah.
I love that quote. Hey, there's Brian Lewis, Jeff Wooten and the crew, and Jeff Pierce. Jeff Pierce had the car on point.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Jeff Pierce had the car on point, man. Grumpy is going from grumpy to like agreeable. I'm gonna start calling it agreeable at this point.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think not only is Goolsby the silent assassin, I kind of hit it earlier. I think Goolsby and Lewis are both guys that you're like, I don't know how I feel about going up against them because they run some stout numbers at this point. Let's talk about Keith Goolsby.
Yeah.
Had a transmission issue on Friday. And the story I got was that he had a friend deliver a transmission to him at property, changed out the transmission, and then continued to run.
Yeah, and so the story I heard was a 6-hour round trip, and I thought that one of the team members was headed down to pick it up. But yeah, who cares? 6 hours to get a transmission delivered, a 6-hour round trip delivered to the car, and who cares how you do that? That's awesome. So think of that. So we have Mark Mickey putting engines in, and then at least bearings. I think in one you have Keith Goolsby doing the transmission swap. I mean, these guys are leaning on these things hard. And in my talks with Keith, he said they should have freshened the engine in the Black Mamba before the event, but they didn't. And they've already done that back home. They had that done by Monday after they returned to the house.
I'm going over all these names mentally, and I'm like, there are more. And I say this, with all honesty, there are some years where the Pro Charger guys show up and you just know, right? You're like, oh man, these guys are stout. There are some years where you're like, it's either Keith or, it's Stephen Whiteley this year. That's how it was last year. This year, I'm looking at our field and I'm like, I would say the favorite for any given event is Mark Mickey, just based off what that car is capable of. But I think there are more potential event winners than we have events this year, right?
Oh, yeah.
Minix, I think Brian Lewis can win an event. I really do. Mickey can win an event. Haney is already capable, and he has won an event. Keith Goolsby, I would say the silent assassin, Dark Horse could win an event. I mean, there's numbers up and down with all these cars. Let's talk real quick about Wayne Roberts, who a couple of years ago got in an incident in Tulsa. He's coming right on back. Love to see that vet out there at both Tulsa and now at Flying H.
Yeah,
he continues to improve. Now, we mentioned during our last show that they kind of came out to Tulsa and they were like, let's just get back in the swing of things. We're not shooting for the moon.
We're just going to test. We're going to lean into this. We're going to slowly work our way into this. That's not how that happened.
No, he went to the semis. So he comes into this event, and I have to assume they're not in throw the kitchen sink at it mode yet. They're continuing to get there, but it's progress, right? Great. He defeated Aaron Wells and was the fourth quickest qualifier. So maybe they were throwing this kitchen sink at him.
Hold on. I'm pulling up his Facebook page because if you guys don't follow him, it's a great follow. He said something. I even put it in the press release. It was so good. He was talking about how they didn't intend to do this, but now they're going rounds.
Yeah, they are going rounds and rounds and rounds. And it's great to see Wayne Roberts, he's running down the 3.8s and he's going to, let me take a look at our points right now. Wayne Roberts I got to count. I'm not good at counting. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's 6th in points. He's ahead of Keith Goolsby, Chris Giuliano. He's ahead of Sandman, ahead of Todd Bennett, John Stouffer, Mike LeBay. I mean,
Well,
gotta,
here's what he said. He said we're still sneaking up on this deal, but that was the pass we can work with. Talking about his 389. I mean,
yeah, you can
that's
work,
impressive.
yeah, you can work with that. You're not going to win flat out runs against guys like Keith Haney or
Yep.
Goolsby. You know, if you're side by side and you both hook up with a 389, but that's something you can work with. You're getting everything right back into. Courtney goes, I can't count either. Courtney, you can count to a 3682. I think you count. You can count to that.
Yep.
But yeah, you can start to work that. You can start to whittle your way down. And it's great to see Wayne out there, and it's even more fun, I think, when he just kind of like, oops, I won another round.
Yeah, this is a surprise to me.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's fun when you get that like upset that even the guy was like, dude, we were going out there using this as a glorified test session, man.
Yeah.
Anything could happen, and it just did. Hey, speaking of anything happening, Sandman unfortunately had a bit of a wild weekend. There's that beautiful Opticoat machine. So he spent most of a week waiting for an oil pump to come in from Randy Adler. And it's not a Randy was like, I shipped it. It was the wonderful USPS that perhaps had a little delay getting it in, right? Sandman Thursday night texts Ellen, and we were together eating somewhere. It might have been at Waffle House. As
the best place on the planet,
as we are wont to do.
Yeah.
Waffle House, you have Mike Narks' number. You can have my number. Just reach out. Come on, give us a call. Anyway, but Sandman goes, oh, hey, I got the oil pump. I'll be there. Drove to the event, was there on Friday. So sometime between like midnight on Thursday and Friday, he rolled in, rolled it off, and he logged his qualifying times. Let's pull that up real quick. Tony Sandman Williams, a 375 and a 2 and a 383. A 375 and a 2 is a decent little number there. And unfortunately for him, he goes into round one, sits there, spools up the car, and nothing. I mean, like he says, he told me during the event, he had a wire that goes into the starter and it got disconnected. And it was actually like up against the connection, but it wasn't like in the connection, right?
Oh, man.
And he said, right. He said he thinks it probably got disconnected when they tightened the diaper on the assembly there. So
ouch.
That's a tough way to lose it. But you know what?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. I hate to see him breaking round one elimination, especially on a smooth track like that where he's grabbing a 375.
Yeah.
He could have gone a round or two, man.
Yeah.
So who else do we have to talk about? Let's take a look. I have a couple runs I want to highlight. Ron Minix's winning run, the 362 and a 7, was just tremendous. Mark Mickey's 3.574 is the quickest run that we've seen in the Midwest Drag Racing Series. Our 357 and a 6 is the quickest run we've seen in an official round of qualifying or eliminations in the Midwest Drag Racing Series this year. You were at a 357 and a 4, but that's during testing. I make the official judgment that I can't know every testing pass that everyone makes. So you got to run it.
Qualifying and eliminations, you can definitely get those.
Got to run it while I'm on the mic. That's the rule, right?
Got to run it while we can get a printout. You know
exactly.
What I mean? Where it's going to be. Yeah, I'm with you.
Do want to highlight too, Ed Thornton had a left before the third amber. Then he ran a 3.9, a 5.1, and an 8 in round one. Seemed to find whatever it was they were looking for. If I remember right, they were changing some tuning aspects on that car. Shane T was. I'll tell you what, I ran into Shane T going into the hotel. I think it was on Friday night. I think you were with me, and Shane T was racking his brain about that car, man.
Yeah.
But whatever it was that Shane T was looking for, seemed to find it during the Slammers when they ran a 370 and a 369.9 and started to hit those mile per hour. That really it's only Mark Mickey that's up in that mid to high 210s. So it was good to see Ed Thornton, whatever it was, he figured that bad boy out. Also want to give a shout out to Todd Bennett. Great to see the Corvette on display today, or this weekend. 372 in testing, 74 in Q1, 79 in Q2. What's impressive to me is a lot of times when we get a guy that shows up out of nowhere, with some exceptions. I mean, who can forget Preston Tanner in showing up to our race a couple of years back in Michigan, or Mark Mickey, the slam dunking St. Louis doubleheaders last year. Usually when a guy shows up, it takes them a little bit to kind of get down into, okay, now we're going rounds. Todd Bennett kind of came out and is just like, all right, yep, now I'm running in the 3.7s, and I might not be Ron Minix right now, but you don't exactly want to go. You're not looking at me going, all right, easy target,
Yeah. Yep, that's for sure. Yeah, and that car is gorgeous and sounds great. And that team, they work hard, man. They're out there making sure that car's ready to go every time.
Absolutely. So a bit of an abbreviated thing. We didn't have any Q3 numbers to go over, but that's kind of what made it fun. The Pro Mods went Q1 on Friday. We got rain. Q2 they ran on Saturday, and the late arrivers, the early arrivers, you only got a couple chances to throw things at the track, and it was just a really, really fun weekend. One other thing I wanted to say too was Aaron Wells at the 366 in round one of qualifying was great. Unfortunately, he had to pedal it during the round one of eliminations and got bounced in that. Yeah, and then he got bounced with a 377 time in Slammers round one as well.
Yep.
I think that brings us to our next class. Yeah.
Well, so let's actually, because we've got Jeremy Maples backstage, I'd like to go ahead and bring him on. He looks like he's in his truck. So one of the reasons we're bringing him on tonight is because he's two-time top dragster winner. But then also the story from his weekend is just crazy. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit about that, and I'm bringing him on right now. Mr. Jeremy Maples, how are you?
There he is. How's it going, sir?
Good. What's up, guys?
Man, nothing. Having a great day. How about you?
Can you hear me good and clear and all that?
Oh, yeah.
All right, good. Just want to make sure you don't hear every breath I inhale and exhale either.
Running over to get in the truck. I appreciate that.
Right.
Well, man, tell us first off, like who you are and give us a recap of the dragster.
So I've been local to Tulsa my whole life. Got into racing. I was born into it from my father. Been doing it ever since before I was legally allowed to, thanks to some good old outlaw tracks back in the days. Won't mention any names, but just been ate up with it my whole life. Kind of got a wife and 4 kids and a couple jobs now, so the schedule's a little more limited than what it used to be. But the dragster is it's an 06 Mullis car that we bought from Jimmy Stuckey, who is a local guy who built it new. And we're on the verge of, which will kind of lead into the whole story, we're on the verge of not quite being fast enough. We got old technology and everyone's got nitrous and pro chargers and turbos these days. So we might have to make some, well, we have made some adjustments. We've got another car. We just, it wasn't quite ready for, it wasn't quite ready for Flying H. I didn't want to take it without any test runs and go in blind. So I was just, I was back and forth about going. And then Friday afternoon, I was just doing some routine maintenance, and I noticed a couple rocker arms weren't great. It's Friday at 4:00. Anybody who can help out a machine shop, they're usually clocked out, headed home, or already on the way to a racetrack somewhere, So I was like, well, that kind of makes my decision a little bit easier. So I got the oil change, got everything ready. Like I said, I didn't really have the right tooling to fix the rocker arms that were messed up. And I went to a ball game and left the ball game. And a good local friend of mine that helps me out on some motor stuff, Doug Wegner, he's the one that kind of freshened that motor and put it together for me. Matt Driscoll does my engine work, and he has a good problem. He's usually booked out about 4 to 6 months, so he's got a good problem to have. But sometimes my patience doesn't allow to wait that long. So, anyways, Doug called me Friday about, oh man, it had to be 8:15, 8:30, and he said, hey, those other rocker arms you got, they'll work. Just make sure, just check everything real good. Make sure the springs aren't coil binding, et cetera, et cetera. So I went back to the shop, and everything worked out. I texted my wife. It had to have been 9:30, and I was like, she's putting 2 of our 4 kids to bed. I was like, I really need to go this race. If I don't qualify, I don't qualify, but I got to go.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll take the boys with me because we got juniors and we run some junior stuff too. And she's like, yeah, it's fine. Go. So long story short, we pulled out of the Quick Trip in Broken Arrow at 12:09 a.m. Topped off with diesel, set out on our trek to Flying H. And when I pulled through the gate and laid my head on the pillow, it was 5:29 a.m. Half the way there, I'm thinking, what am I doing? I used to be able to do that stuff, no problem. I used to drive all night, race all day, 2 days, 3 days. But now age is catching up a little bit. You don't get near as excited about it.
Yeah.
But no.
Hey, what's the saying? I'm as good once as I ever was.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. But no, so fast forward, got me 2 hours of sleep. Fast forward to 7:30 in the morning, and we get up, get ready for Q1. And I had an idea how many cars are there. I knew there's about 18, but right before Q1, I find out there's 20. And I was like, well, this ought to be fun because I can only go so fast, and I can't spray it. I can't spool up the turbos a little more. I can't help out the Pro Charger. All I can do is flat foot it as hard as I can. So I made the first qualifier, and I was 15 out of 20.
Wow. So
naturally, you watch 3 or 4 cars that didn't get down the track that can outrun you, and you don't have the highest of hopes. But I think my wife or one of my friends or somebody texted me, and they said, "Are you in?" And I said, "We need a miracle." So go. I didn't even make Q2. I didn't even make Q2. I was exhausted, and I knew, I knew that maybe 1 or maybe 2 might not get. I didn't think the other 4 or 5. But long story short, I watched 1 get in, and it puts me on 16, and then I watched the others, and a friend of mine had some issues. Another guy had some issues with his nitrous. I could tell a few people had issues with their nitrous, but man, long story short, we got in, and man, everything just fell our way. And that's just a prime example of how things have to fall your way, man. It's so competitive, and all these guys out there. I mean, it's like that in all the classes. I mean, even pro mod, it's so competitive, man. It's like anybody, any competitor can win any race, and that's one thing that's cool about Keith's series. It's competitive. It's competitive. I know we've had a repeat champion or 2, but it's so many of those guys and girls. Look at Jordan Epperjesse.
Yeah,
I mean, she's been in both top dragster finals. You'd think most of the time you win the first 2 races and you think you're on cruise control, but shoot, she's not even 2 rounds behind. So
right.
It'll be a fun year, and they did a heck of a job. The Flying H guys did great. Midwest staff, they always do great. I know Keith, man. Keith puts his heart and soul. I've known Keith for a long time, and the one thing about that guy is if you doubt that guy, you're in for your own disappointment, because when he puts his mind to something, he's given 100%. He's given 100% attitude, money, whatever he's got to do. Keith, that's the thing about Keith. He's all in. He's been like that. He's been like that for a long, long time. But no, we had a great time. We did. We love coming to those. I like going to the races because it's a Friday, Saturday deal, and we're home at a decent time on Sunday. But we're gonna be ready to rock and roll in St. Louis, and hope things keep falling our way. That's all we can do.
So essentially, to recap, sorry, Luke.
No, go ahead.
You drove all night. You do 1 round of qualifying. You end up 16th. You end up winning the class. Like, I want people to understand how, and your boys went with you, so it wasn't like you were by yourself. You also kind of had to, I'm sure, wrangle them a little bit. Keep an eye on them. So And tell us about breaking the part as you're coming into the lanes.
Oh
and
yeah, I
how all
forgot
that
about
went
that. Yeah. Speaking of everything has to fall your way, great. I'm glad you reminded me. So I'm pulling up for second round, and I'm just driving. I'm right there at where, well, you guys will know because you were there, but I'm right there at Keith's trailer. And it just so happened, coincidentally, that the car goes poop and it shuts off. So at that time, I was like, I told Cody, and I traveled with Cody Moore and Daryl White. And at that time, they're behind me with my boys on the golf cart. And I was like, this ain't good. They said, what is it? I said, it's something in the valve train. Well, Shane Goodnight, I know Shane, one of Keith's crew guys, he's just standing right there. And he's like, what's up? And I said, I need a 5/16 12 point. I need a 3/8 12 point, a 1/2 inch 12 point, and a 3/16 Allen. He's like, got it. So he's over there in 30, 45 seconds. We got the valve cover off. I find a 5 exhaust, and number 5 exhaust rocker went bad. It broke, actually. It broke in half on us.
Wow.
And no, that wasn't one of the ones that we fixed. It was in between the two that I fixed. So
nice.
Needless to say, I've got new rocker arms on the way. But no, Keith came over and he said, what's going on? And I told him, I said, I just broke it. And he's like, all right. He's like, let's push it up. He said, let's push it up so they know we're trying to get it fixed. In the meantime, I'm waiting on Cody because he thinks he has a rocker arm in his trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So Keith and Shane helped push my car. Those guys pushed my car all the way down that windy road behind the bleachers into the staging lanes. We get in there, and I turned back to Daryl. I was like, well, Cody's not back, so I guess we didn't have the rocker arms with us. Well, they didn't have the rocker arms with them. Cody had the mind, which I wouldn't have even thought about. Cody had the mind to pull his valve cover off, pull one of his exhaust rockers off. He brings it up there. Long story short, they get it on the car. Keith waves me up. He said, I think we kind of got lucky. There was some downtime. I couldn't pay attention to it because I was just focused on getting our deal done. But we snuck in right behind the last pair of 420 cars or something.
Wow.
And I told Keith, I went to Keith after the race and I told him, appreciate it. I owe you one. He's like, no. He said, that's what this series is about. Yeah. He said that's the deal. This series is about if something happens to one of our competitors, whether it be on the road, whether it be in the staging lanes, whether it be on the starting line, whether they got to change an engine, whatever it might be, that's what this series is about. We're going to help them out. He said, I can't tell you, you guys probably know, but I guess he waited on one of the last races, maybe this year, maybe he waited on someone to change a motor. Someone waited on him to change a motor between rounds or vice versa. Mm-hmm. So that kind of stuff like that is what really sets them apart. And we are fortunate to have a series that is this good and this competitive, affordable, and it pays good. He's hustled up some sponsors and it's I've told all my buddies and stuff, I can't say enough good stuff about it. And I was in a dilemma where there was a couple 10,000 to win races the same weekend closer to home. And, it's just one of those deals. You commit to something, you got to do it. And I said I'd run the deal and got fortunate enough to win the first one and fortunate enough to win the second one. So we're really committed now.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say too. How does this change your mentality, going forward? Like, obviously you're glad you came because you won, but like, what does this look like going forward? Are you gonna stay in the, quote unquote old car, or are you going to start testing the new car and bring the new cars to this?
Yeah, the new car will be at St. Louis. I got to pick up a few tenths. I got to pick up. I might not be able to qualify then because, man, they got some fast D3 cars around St. Louis. But like I said, you got to be there to find out. I didn't expect to qualify at Flying H, and sometimes the cards just fall in your favor. And as far as outlook on everything, I'm gonna race the same and just hope for the same results. Like I said, there's so many people in that top dragster class that are competitive that can win any race. So to say there's still several people with a shot, that's there's no doubt about that whatsoever.
Yep, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the car, but Mike's got me covered there. No, you're good. I do want to ask, you come in and this weekend, to borrow a phrase from my radio show that I used to hope, the weekend was held together by duct tape and hope to some extent,
It was, for sure.
You grab 2 consecutive wins. Are you even thinking about how the points shake out now, or is it way too early to think about that?
Well, anybody who chases points and said they don't think about it is a liar. So
Yeah, that's
if
what I was going to say. You know he's thinking about it. He better be.
if they tell you they're not, they're lying. If they tell you they hadn't looked at the points, they might not have, but somebody's told them. So, like I said, I'm back to it on the Jordan deal. I mean,
Yep.
Jordan's as good as Jordan lays down laps. Jordan went to a final or 2 last year, goes the first 2 finals this year. And yeah, man, it's just it's one of those deals. It'll be competitive. It'll be a dogfight. You just got to show up and do the same thing every time. Sometimes, you know, I can't tell you, and you guys know this. You guys see the computer screen all day up there. I can't tell you how many races that I've won that I should have lost. So I appreciate the races that I or vice versa. You know, I can't tell you how many races that I've lost that I should have won. So I appreciate the ones that fall. I'll give you a perfect example. I took 1 thou against Bryce Mickey second round. So anybody going 450 that took a thou against a 380 dragster chasing them 50 plus mile an hour, they didn't mean to do that. That's another example of the cards fell your way.
Yep. Man, that's great. Hey, Luke, what was, because the Portatree system was giving you the links and stuff. How many links is that? 2 inches?
I think if I'm not mistaken, there was at one point where you were ahead by 3 inches in one of your rounds of lineage, because Portatree calculates the time compared to your speed, and it'll tell you. I think you had a 3-inch win at one point.
Yeah, that was probably. I'm going to say that's the Bryce Mickey, because that's the one where I took. That's the one where I got there. I'm not going to say I took 1,000. It sounds better if I say I got there 1,000. So that way it doesn't sound like I'm taking credit for it. But yeah, I had Matt Driscoll. Man, I had to run Matt in the semis. Matt's probably the most seasoned veteran. He's a former world champion. I had him in the semis, and that's one of those that he's going to be there. He's always Matt doesn't really have to dip down into the bag of tricks, because he's usually teen or better on the tree, and he's usually going within 5,000ths of dial. So, you're going to earn those races against him. Fortunately for him, I think he's getting a little older, just like I am. So he's in his 50s. So our lights both kind of fell off when it got dark and it got late. And I think I just knew in the final that I had got lucky enough in the semis to get there that I had to have a decent light, and we got by. So.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much for taking time out. I know you're at the ball field. We appreciate you doing this.
No, I appreciate you all reaching out.
When we get to St. Louis, we're going to do a pre-show. It'll be me and maybe Jordan up there in the tower, or me by myself. But come on up. Let's talk about this. Let's tell this story to the people in the stands and all that kind of stuff, and the folks at home again.
Hopefully by then I've tested a new car that I know can go in the 420 range. So we'll just keep our hopes up. And
absolutely. Hey man, I'll be by to see it in St. Louis too. I'll have to give it a nice stare down. So yeah.
Nope.
Oh.
No, we've lost.
Yeah, we lost his audio. Yep. All right. Well, hey,
he gone.
Yeah, he gone. Hey, he's like, I think they lost it. I think I was saying bye. But anyway, what an awesome story, man. Dude, it was funny because he's a local, like you mentioned, he's a local guy at Tulsa. And so when he showed up in Top Dragster, I noted it in Tulsa, and I said,
yeah,
who's this guy? And they're like, he races bracket here all the time.
Yeah.
Little did I know.
Yeah. He does more than just race brackets every now and then. That dude puts it down.
He does. He puts it. What shocked me was he was talking, he was definitely near the slower to the field, but he was like, I'm feeling slow. I feel, we're not effective. I'm like, you won 2 races, my man.
Right. And, it's funny. You go back to how tired you are in that moment. He just sent me a message, said, hey, lost call drop. Sorry, guys. Thank you so much for letting me be on. I appreciate it.
Dude, so, awesome. Yeah, awesome to see him. Yeah, we're glad he was too. And we'll have him on the pre-show in St. Louis. I will be in St. Louis. I have a work obligation on Thursday night. I'm flying in Friday morning. So the pre-show, unfortunately, I'm not able to make that. We have a big music festival. So, I mean, don't feel too bad for me.
Listen, everybody that's watching this right now knows that cars are way cooler than music.
Yep.
And we'll let you slide this one time.
Slide one time. Hey, let's talk about other amazing stories. And I think one of the most awesome stories, I got stoked. I was up in the booth. I was hopping around, right? Lance Van Howen advances into the
dude.
Funny Car Finals, man.
Yes. Listen, I love this car. I love this team. Anytime I see them, I'm like, now it's a party.
Yeah, it is.
Now we can get down, because I think these guys, and I don't know the backstory. I intend to get it at some point, but listen, I think these guys are having a ton of fun. I think they maybe went funny car racing because they wanted to go real fast. To be
I think
honest,
so, man. And they beat if memory serves me correct, I don't have the note here in front of me. They beat Jim in the first round, right? Like they ran.
that's pretty salty, man. That's pretty salty.
Yeah, it's pretty. They beat Jim in the first round, and that's it's not a nothing burger, as we would say, right? It's like, oh dang, you ran, you know. So
Yes.
yeah, so in so in round one, a 3.808 was
Wow.
good. And I also want to mention too that Q1 rerun, he ran a 3.78 and a 2. Now, for those of you who weren't there or who didn't catch it, one of the big stories this weekend was we only got part of the way through the funny car round one of qualifying on Thursday night before they rain came in.
We didn't get part of the way through. We got down to one car needed to make a pass.
Yeah, one car needed to make a pass. Yes,
but that meant other cars
infuriatingly
got. Yeah, I mean, that meant other cars got 3 passes, which is really cool.
But so we reran round one of qualifying. Every car that was in funny car had their time from the previous night thrown out. That cuts both ways. It helps people who had a crappy run on Friday night, hurts people who had a great run on Friday night, right? That's the nature of it. I want to give a shout out though, because I didn't hear any of our funny car guys say anything other than all right, sounds good, which it is in our rules. And I think everybody was just on the same page and just glad to be racing. We're glad to have the funny car shot. And big congratulations to Steve Macklin winning his first race in 2024. This title defense continues with a B&J transmission and performance bearings team. It's awesome to see Steve Macklin and his crew grab that win. And I will have to check the points. Let me pull up the points. MidwestDragRacingSeries.com/competition/points. Hey, look at that. That's where they are. Steve Macklin is your points winner by 19 points.
Ooh, that's a round.
That's one round. So, yeah, it's tight. It's tight. That's the brilliant thing is as we watch it, I always, there's always things about, it's too early to watch the championship. Not when it's this tight and the field is this chaotic, right?
Yeah.
It's a chaotic field up and down. We talked about top dragster, Jeremy Maples. Yeah, not quite chaotic. He won 2 events in a row, but Jordan Epper, Jesse, who I want to mention, all right, just briefly. I don't know if she wants me to share this, but sorry, Jordan. Was fighting illness all weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, she was sick, and it run her up anyway.
Yeah. Is awesome. It was impressive. I was by the pits on Friday and she said later I found out she was not feeling well, but that's not the feeling I got when I was by the pits. She was still working on stuff and still getting everything ready on Friday.
I heard somebody pass who went by there. I don't know if it was you or if it was someone else. But they were like, she says she's fine, but you can tell she's not fine, but she's racing anyway.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing is Friday, it was supposed to rain all day and then it didn't rain at all.
It didn't rain at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was great. So we end up they pulled the pro mods to the lanes 3 times at night before they cut that Q1 off. But all day people made passes, man. It was great.
It was great. Mother Nature was kind until we wanted to fire up pro mods.
Yeah. Yeah. Until we want to do some real racing.
Yeah, if you guys didn't see it, first off, watch us on Flow Sports. If you don't have Flow Sports, go to MidwestDragRacingSeries.com, find that QR code, and use that to register. It helps us. It helps you. It's a great deal all around. But Friday, you're going to watch some of the most infuriating rain coverage of all time. Look, it is not even drizzling hard enough to be uncomfortable. You're like, oh, yep, there's slight moisture. It's not even bothering you standing outside. Then it'll stop. And you'll be like, all right, track's coming back. Get him back. Get him back. All right. We got like 3 minutes of track dragging left, and then we're firing up pro mods. Oh, there it goes again.
Yeah.
3 separate
And
times.
the window on the tractor is wet. No,
Yeah.
like, park the tractor.
There
Yeah.
were, there were points where I couldn't tell if it was raining if it wasn't for certain pieces of glass that you could look at. Like you would not be able to tell. Getting back to Top Dragster though, they had to run round 1 and 2 qualify or time trials on Saturday. Betsy Peak traveled all that way for a rain delay on her first day. But Betsy Peak, we talk about traveling 627 miles to the Flying H drag strip. Her next closest is in Montana.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds pretty strange.
Yeah. Now, she runs a Top Dragster. So she mentioned there are other tracks, but, Top Dragster has a certain, they don't want to run it on certain tracks. They want to race it on very smooth surfaces. So she said, 627.
Especially that car. That car, I mean, 370s, 360s.
That was the other thing. Yeah, it's a fast Top Dragster.
Yeah.
Yeah, big shout out to Jordan Aker, by the way. Let's talk about Jordan Aker real quick. Jordan Aker has that shorty, dragster, 200-inch wheelbase, I believe he said it is. And let me go find him over here somewhere. So yeah,
I feel like he probably put up the upset of the race. Out Anita Strasberg in round 2.
Yep.
Yeah,
he beat Anita Strasberg in the opening round. Yeah, and he was looking for 399s. I don't know quite if he hit it, but I mean, he had a great weekend, and it was great to see the Air Force man show up and show out, because I'll tell you what, man, he was going round and round and round, and I loved watching. I love the shorties, man. I just do. He's pulling off huge wheelies all weekend.
That's what I was going to say. It was cool looking to see him leave and just Yep.
I want to give a shout out as well to Joe Carrillo, who won the hardest working award. He replaced the head gasket on Friday. We actually were walking around the pits. You and I and Ronnie Court were, and we were like, dude, we got a guy replacing the heads. And we're going, we're trying to, we want to interview him, but we're also like in that awkward position of like, let the men do their work here.
Yeah. But you got to get that content. You got to get that in real time, wording and verbiage.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you to Matt Cummings. He wrote, bless all of you for bringing us a damned excited racing series with class drivers and fast cars. Love you guys. We love you too, man. We love all of our fans. We love our racers. We love our crew. We love our track staff. I mean, I like to think that, we are the loving, fun family of drag racing, because I hear some stories about groups and cars, and I'm like, I don't get that with the Midwest series, man. We're just all about, we're like, hey man, we're here to have a good time. It's almost infectious. If you haven't come to one of our races, I mean, swing by, talk to the drivers, you can talk to the staff, man. You can, hey Luke, while I'm have a microphone in my hand down in the midway, and I'll talk to you. But I mean, we love you guys. We love everyone who's a part of the Midwest Drag Racing Series, whether it be supporting us, watching us. If you haven't given us a dime, even, I mean, we love that you're paying attention to us and that you're taking in our content. So, one last shout out to Top Dragster, by the way, Wade Pennington. Talk about guys who we talked to. Jeremy Maples had a weekend held together by duct tape and hose. Jordan Jesse battled illness. Wade Pennington tweaked his knee getting out of his dragster on Q1 on Saturday. And this comes to be from another staff member. He had to sub in Justin Kenworth because he couldn't get back into his car.
That is brutal. That is brutal.
I'm laughing because it's badass, and it's just get into my car, go, but yeah, no, it is brutal. And Wade, as a man who's tweaked his knee a couple too many times, thank you, playing goalie in high school hockey, I feel your pain, bro. And we're hoping that you're better by St. Louis.
Yeah.
But what a cool story though, that Justin Kenworth just steps in and goes, yep, we got it. I mean,
Says,
that's
no problem. I'll race that thing. Bring it
I'll
on.
race that thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And who else do we want to let's move on. We
Cool.
went to one top, we went to our other top. Let's talk about top sportsman. We'll start off with the man of the hour, the reigning champ 2 times, maybe 3 times. Rod Moore is locking down his title for a 3rd consecutive time. I think the question in top sportsman is, can anybody stop Rod Moore? The Whiskey Barrel, man, it's unstoppable, isn't it? I mean, we'll talk about
He
the
has a great
specific
program.
Yeah, we'll talk about the specific route he took here in a second, but like the Whiskey Barrel to me is one of if probably the most consistent car on property.
Yeah.
On any class.
Yeah, he definitely has it on point, and those guys work hard. I mean, they work hard too. Everybody at this level is obviously working hard. I think I've said that about every person that's on here. But even at Tulsa, those guys were swapping out the nitrous feed tube within the nitrous tanks.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like they want it. He wants it bad.
What was that new part he's debuting in St. Louis? He showed us a picture of it. My mind's blanking, but he's got a new something coming in St. Louis to go even quicker.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh man, I wish I could remember what it was. Like I'm getting like fuzzy images here. But anyway, he's gonna get quicker in St. Louis.
Wow. Bring
Because
it on.
yeah, I was gonna say, because that's what the rest of top sportsmen need. But you know what? If you want to be the best, you have to topple Titans, and the Titan
Yep.
right now is Rod Moore. He's so good that it's hard to cover him sometimes because you're going, he wins again.
Yeah.
Like, I do want to give a specific shout out to Rod in the reliability department. I've seen maybe one incident with Rod Moore just about ever. And they say to be first to finish, first you must finish, right? You have to reach the destination to end the race, as I think it was Brian Lewis said. And he won in what ended up being a battle of attrition in top sportsman. The way it worked was we had a break on the bottom half of the ladder, right? So we had a break on, the bottom half of the ladder. And that would give a bye in the finals, thus making the semifinals between Rod Moore and Mark Griffin. What a surprise matchup there, right? Makes it the unofficial finals. Now, the winner of that would have to go on and stage in the finals, but all they would have to do is break the beams to win. So Rod Moore shows up the staging lanes. Mark Griffin has problems with the compressed air supercharging car. So Rod Moore got to do one of the few times you'll see it. Basically, in the semifinals, he rolled up, he broke the beams.
Yep.
He automatically wins the semis against Mark Griffin, and we allowed him to just do it all at once because it's no skin off of our back and it's quicker for everyone. He backs out. We restart the timing system. He comes right back in, engages the timing system, and accepts then that break by in the finals.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting to see. But I mean, every once in a while you hear, I'd rather be lucky than good any day of the week. And I'm not saying it's luck, but I'm also saying like part of appearing lucky and, oh man, you got that lucky buy is being able to have a car that's like, dude, it goes numbers and it doesn't break.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You have to set yourself up for when luck appears, you can take it.
That's so much of not just drag racing, but sports racing. It's just, it's luck is there all the time, but the greats know how to make something out of it. And Rod Moore makes something out of the luck that is given to him. So, great to see. I want to give a shout out to Macy Higgins in his second Midwest Drag Racing Series event. Grabbed the #1 qualifier with a 4:26 and a 4. You might think, oh, wow, that's a pretty quick time. Maybe it should run the Pro 420 class. He kind of flipped. He wasn't sure what he was going to run until he declared it on Friday evening.
That's awesome. With a 426, he'd have been competitive in that class as well.
Hey, what up? Should we move on to Pro 420?
Oh, I'd love to.
7-car field lined up the event, and Daryl Hubbard red lights in the finals, giving Dave Pierce, the win. You had there he is. Yeah.
Yep.
So it was great to see Dave Pierce, his Snoops, his 200-mile-per-hour dog, riding along with him to his first win this year in Pro 420.
And he beat James Ogden. I don't know if you know that they have a friendly trash talk back and forth. It's been kind of quiet this week. I'm sure as we head into St. Louis, I'll stir some of that. I mean, those guys will talk about that some.
The funny part is they will trash talk, and then they'll be like, yeah, tell him he better get used to losing. And then you talk to them like on camera. And it's like, so tell me about Dave Pierce. He'd be like, that guy better get used to losing. He's such a nice guy. I mean, he's a great competitor.
Yeah, he's a great competitor.
I really love
beautiful.
I love going up against him. You better get used to losing though. It's almost like a bromance in a way where it's like, dude, like they're tight, but also because they're tight, they're gonna trash talk each other even harder.
Yes, that's exactly right. Well, speaking of James Ogden, takes #1 qualifier on a mistake.
It
was an accident.
He used words that I probably can't use on this stream, but he said, I was aiming for a 4:21, but I messed up. He ran a 4:2:00:29. So that's 5 decimals. So 4:20, right? With a 0, and then with a 2:9, and like 2:9 is already a low. So like he ran dead on with a 0. In what I know for this year and what I believe is our first dead on with a 0 in Pro 420 history.
That's
awesome.
The
very most, our first dead on with a 0 this year goes to James Ogden. And I mean, he was your winner in Tulsa.
Yep.
He gets bounced in this round 1 here. And I mean, it's anybody's game here, and because of how the points work out, Dave Pierce 197 under 20 points. Look at that, James Ogden could be the man. Unfortunately, we're not seeing Pro 420 until the next Kansas City race here in at Flying H, which it sucks. I'm just gonna say it. All right, it sucks because I like watching the Pro 420s. Could we be at every race next year, please?
Hey, listen, I'm sure they can, and the way they can do that, sponsorships,
maybe. If you have a company and you want us to mention your company's name about a gajillion times, contact any of us. You can even contact me. I'm not the sponsorship guy, but you can shoot me a Facebook message right now if you're interested in sponsorship, and I will hook you up with the people who know it. Sponsor racers, sponsor the classes. Do whatever, just help support the series. And let me tell you, we will plug your business. we love plugging businesses. We love telling people about where they can get great products and telling people to support the businesses that support them. So if you want to sponsor us, sponsor any class, sponsor any racers, sponsor a light award, #1 qualifier awards. We'd love to have you on board. And honestly, too, the bang for your buck if you're a business owner is pretty fantastic. And that's coming from a guy who, like, I work in this industry, every day, not in drag racing, but in sponsorships and in promotions. And you guys, we love doing right by you guys. Back to Champion Auto Lift Pro 420. Champion Auto Lift, of course, owned by Keith Goolsby. One of the coolest cars.
Yes.
The debut of Ryan Bush.
Yes. I enjoyed this car. This car's nice. It's a white 69 Camaro. I think race cars should be white. That is my personal opinion. It is way cooler temperature wise. And to me, it's way cooler, status quo wise to have a white race car, just because I think they look great. But this car, 959 MUC setup, single stage nitrous to run in Pro 420. We talked to him in the lanes that morning, and he's getting the car sorted in Pro 420 this season and plans to move to Pro Mod next year within the Midwest Drag Race Series. And y'all, one stage of nitrous running 420.
Well, one stage that he's choosing to run.
Yeah.
What was it? 7 stages of nitrous?
Yeah. He could put a whole bunch on there.
he could put in like 3 cars worth of stages of nitrous in one run if he chooses to. Like you said, it's an awesome car. Got a little bit of history to it. I know that it was formerly owned by the Malzahn family. If you're not familiar with Malzahn, he is the head coach of UCF football. Was with Auburn up until 2019, 2020. But it was previously owned by the Malzahn, like somebody, I think it was his son owned that car. And then, if I'm not mistaken, the engine, Musi 959, was formerly Kai Kelly's engine that he bought.
That's right.
Yep, in that bad boy. Really cool car, and I love that he's in Pro 420. I love that 420 is an access point to not take 3 steps at once and instead be able to climb the stairs to Pro Mod. And can't wait to see him at whatever event he chooses to be with next. Who knows? Maybe he's in St. Louis and he goes, I think I can pip a 14, 15, 16 qualifier in Pro Mod. Maybe he's at our Kansas City Pro 420 race, but wherever Ryan Bush decides to join us next, can't wait to see him.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Hey, let's talk about guys who also made their debut. Right up next on our bullet point, they're racing Mason Higgins.
Bro, that family was on point this weekend.
Racing Mason, I believe 8 years old. I trying to remember that off the top of my head here. 8 years old, got his license the Friday before we went racing, right?
Oh, nice.
So the Friday we were supposed to go racing, but then rain happened. So joined us for the first time in Midwest Drag Racing Series, 8 years old, got his license, and surprise, you runnered up.
Right.
Like
he probably gets that from his dad.
Probably, I would say so. It's genetic.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cutting lights and knowing when to let off the throttle or push it down further. One of the two.
Yeah, and but congratulations to Racing Mason. Mason, if you're watching this, man, I can't wait to see you in your next event. And dude, let's go some rounds, man. You showed you got the medal. You went up against Haven Moberly, and I know, Mason. Mason's probably like sitting there going, "Oh, I wish I could have won." Haven is a beast. Haven is a beast of a run, man. A beast of a driver, and so good to see Haven Moberly grab a win. Hey, let's talk about Braylee Blevins and her team, which, if you didn't know, first off, I think we mentioned it probably at least once a weekend. Braylee Blevins' dad, Keith Haney. That's Keith Haney Racing. That's the team. But replaced the entire rear end between rounds. Great teamwork, great dedication. I know after the drivers' meeting, they were looking at Braylee's Candy Dragster, and they were looking at the rear end of it, and were testing. They were like, Keith was like, "I'm telling you, it's not engaging." Like, how could it not be? And I had to go grab burgers. I was needing to eat, dude. All right. I'm not gonna lie with you, but it was a great job, Keith Haney Racing, to not just get the Pro Mod running where it needed to be, but also get the 2 dragsters.
Yeah, it was awesome to see the juniors over there getting some love put into them over the weekend. When you start thinking about racers, and I say it all the time, the junior racers are as competitive, if not more, than the big car racers.
And speaking of the juniors that are really competitive, how about the pro juniors? There's our 13 to 17-year-olds, minimum ET 790. Lexus Kesterson, we talk a lot about her and Rod Moore. Those are our 2 3-peat runs this year. I think one or both of them are absolutely going to do it. I don't think both of them lose this year. I think Rod and Kesterson, Alexis actually both win it. But Alexis suffered a hiccup, man. Shout out to Richard Edward, who said those were so fast too, surprisingly. Yeah, dude, the juniors, most street stock cars that you can just buy and will take out to like a street legal night, most of them will lose on an 8th mile to the juniors. I always say like my
they're definitely losing on the tree.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like my Corolla, as an example, that I used to drive, mid-level trim package for a mid-level Corolla, right? Pretty much the standard average American car would get absolutely wrecked by those junior dragsters. I love that factoid. In fact, their speed limit is higher than my quarter mile trap time.
Yeah.
In a Corolla. Anyway, so Alexis Kesterson on the Pro Juniors, two-time defending champion, eliminated in round one from a guy who I think is going to make some serious noise in the points, Isaac Stephenson, who overcame a broken chain during his qualifying pass. Put him number 10 on the qualifying spot, but he ended up running up to runner-up. And great to see the Stephenson family out of Bandimere. We saw a lot of Bandimere people at this race, which perhaps not surprisingly, but we were thankful to see him. Isaac, I think he's going to make some noise this year if he shows up at all of our events.
Do you have the points pulled up there?
Oh yeah, let me pull those up because I would wager that Isaac Stephenson might be your number 1 point sitter. And what a shocker. Look at this. Him and Alexis Kesterson tied up 150 to 150 points.
Yep.
I mean, dude,
it's again another a silent assassin right here, because they're not out touting a bunch of stuff and talking. I think that's what's funny about the juniors is the group of juniors that are here. There's no over egos in this group at all.
If anything, they're very kind and humble kids, man. We talked to Isaac in studio in Tulsa, or at least in race control in studio is a radio term. Alexis, I saw her give a pep talk to another junior dragster who was having a rough go in Tulsa. And she said, Alexis said, I sucked when I started junior dragsters. And I'll keep the rest of that story private because it was a very nice and touching moment. But Alexis is wonderful to work with. Isaac's wonderful to work with.
Yep.
Alexis did go on to win Slammers, which I was asked if it paid points. I said, I'm not sure. It doesn't. I was like, I'm not sure. Let me check. And I pulled it up on MidwestDragRacingSeries.com. Doesn't pay points. Let's talk about the big winner of Pro Junior. I think top 3 coolest story. It had to be this, Mark Mickey thrashing in the pits, and Brian Lewis, with a close force being Lance Van Howen. Olivia Danger.
I was gonna say, I think this story is probably my top 2 right here.
Yeah. Olivia Danger, Olivia Mayer, huge surprise win for a surprise race. And when I say a surprise race, I mean she was just going to go. She's the daughter of Darren Mayer of Darren Mayer Performance Engineering, DMPE. If you see that on blowers, on shirts around the Midwest Series, that's her dad. So she's just going to go. And Aaron Wells had Tyler's Jr. there, and they kind of set this up. And he wheels off Tyler's Jr. and looks at Olivia and basically goes, wow, if only I had someone to race this. I mean, shoot. I mean, Olivia, can you race this? And she goes, I can't. I don't have my racing suit. Yeah, she wasn't planning on racing anything that weekend. I have my racing suit. And Darren goes, yeah, you do. Whoop. Oh, surprise. You want to race Tyler's Jr.? Heck yeah. Goes out and wins the dang event.
Yeah. Yeah, so now the question is she coming back? Is she going to race another one? Now is she in the hunt? Now it's like, oh man, now we've got to hit all the races. I love it. I love that story. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, where is she sitting in the points now? Because she went right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th in points, and I'm scrolling. She has 105 points. She's only a little over. She's basically 2 rounds and 5 spots of qualifying out of first place in the points.
Wow.
You show up to because some of our juniors have a hard time making it up to Martin. You show up to Martin and you've made that gap up immediately.
Yeah. Well, and I think as you go into we start looking at season stuff now, we have a good turnout in St. Louis, and now people are starting to kind of do the math, and now suddenly Martin may make more sense for some junior racers.
I'll tell you what, this event in St. Louis is going to be huge because it's the unofficial halfway point of the season. The first half is the chess match to get you into where you want to be, right?
Yeah.
The second half of the season is the championship swing. And you want to make sure before we go into the swing of Martin, Smackdown, which I'll remind you, our points are based off of rounds, and the Smackdown has a field of 32 for the pro mods.
Yeah.
So that means there's an extra 20 points up for grabs in terms of rounds for the Smackdown. And I will have to check how the qualification points do. I don't know. Don't ask me. But qualification points are based on a field of 16 currently.
Mm-hmm.
Field of 32. We'll see how that works. But Smackdown is a lot of points. Martin's big points. It's regular points, but it's a big event.
Yeah.
Fall Throwdown, Pine Valley. They're all going to come at you fast and quick. So if you want to be in it to win it, as we move into the back half of the season, the back 9, the turning point's St. Louis. You got to put up or shut up in St. Louis, man.
Yeah. You're going to have to make a showing for every class that's out there.
Mhm.
Everybody has to get as many points as they possibly can in St. Louis, because going into that last half, man, there's not going to be any room for errors. So St. Louis is your last opportunity to kind of, maybe miss a round.
This is the last time where you're going to have, we got about a race every month. After August, the first weekend after August, going into September, no, September 9th through 11th, basically the weekend of September 11th annually. It starts going fast and it starts going quick.
Yeah.
We got a lot of races and not a lot of downtime. And
Yeah.
St. Louis too, for those of you who are planning on watching or planning on being there, it's also one of the most intriguing races to me, in that it plays out very differently. It's interesting. Drag strips are all theoretically the same, but they're not the same. Anybody can tell you. St. Louis is historically a battle of attrition in the Midwest series. We visit there in June. I don't know if you know this, Mike, but it's a little hot in St. Louis in June.
Yeah.
Hot.
Yeah.
It's hot. The tempers heat up.
Yeah.
It's humid. The cars maybe aren't eaten to the speeds that you see in the early opening season, but that just means you got guys who are either going to find the tune in some rough conditions or they're not going to find the tune. So it's upset prone. We saw that with Mark Mickey twice last year, Mark Mickey twice last year. And last year we also had crazy rain schedules and crazy. St. Louis is like, to borrow a term from college sports, it's one for the sickos, man. It's one of those where you're like, really like, oh boy, we're going to see a show. Maybe it's not the, 357 to 357-1 show, but you're going to see some wild stuff happen in St. Louis.
Yeah.
It's hard to predict. I can't even begin to predict a pro mod. Narcs, can you even take a guess?
No, not at all. I'm listen, can we get a top 5? Can we go top 5 if I guess right? That's what we need next. We need some numbers, some betting maybe going on over here.
I'll tell you what. I'll take 3 and you can take 3. And on our post show next time, we will acknowledge the victor.
I'm in.
All right. I'll let you have first one.
Oh,
who are you taking?
I'm gonna
schoolyard draft this thing.
Yeah, I'm going Brian Lewis.
You're going Brian Lewis. All right. I will go. I'll go Mark Mickey.
Oh, I like it. Sorry, I'm putting these down here.
Oh yeah, no, put him down. I go Mark Mickey, and I'll tell you why. I think he's due for a win this year. He was 2-time winner in St. Louis last year.
Yep.
I like the Brian Lewis pick. Brian Lewis is coming up. He's strong.
Yeah.
Who do you got for pick number 2?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to take Ron. there. I like him. I like that car. I like that team. Those guys are on point. Who you next?
My pick number 2, the Silent Assassin. I'm going with the Dark Horse. I'm going with the Black Pearl, Keith Goolsby.
Oh man, I dig it. I'm going to round out my list with Mr. Keith Haney. I think the nitrous is going to do well in the heat because it creates so much coolness down in the engine.
All right. I like that pick, and I will round things off with your 2019 champion, a guy who can win a race, any given race, any given year. I'll go with Aaron Wells.
Ooh, that's a great choice.
Who, by the way, it should be noted, is sitting 5th in the points right now.
Yeah.
Only 3 points behind Brian Lewis. 3.
Oh.
To give you an idea, if Aaron Wells qualified 9th and Brian Lewis qualified 13th, those spots flip. It like that could be, that's literally like hundredths, maybe thousandths of a second, depending on the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
One
loving it.
qualified pass.
And I think that's what we're going to see in St. Louis. I think we're really going to see those guys turn it up because they know they've got a break. They've got an opportunity to kind of, you're going to have time. Now, these guys at this level aren't worried about extra parts. They've got extra parts that are in the trailer generally with them. But those guys can lean on this stuff pretty hard in St. Louis and have time to fix anything that would go sideways.
I think so too. And also I want to point out too, because the conditions may be warmer. Usually this is the warmest race we have all year. I'm just to be honest with you, warmest and most humid. Do you remember what it was like landing in St. Louis last year?
Yeah.
Like,
Sweaty.
dude, I walked out of the airport at midnight and said, why the blank is it so hot? And I'm from there, man.
Yeah.
What is wrong
You
with
forget,
this place?
bud. You forget.
It's 67 degrees out here, man. It's
Oh.
But when you look at the pro mods, I think that's going to make for a tighter field because everyone will eventually find that tune, and a car that can run 357, say one Mr. Mark Mickey, but can it run it in that? I think it evens the field out a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it definitely does that. And I think it really comes down to a tuner's game at that point, who gets it right, who puts power in because, hey, listen, we got to make this run. We got to go faster than the person that's been turning better times than us. Is person in left lane going to leave it alone and be planning for low 70s? And the person in the right lane that's been high 70s is now turning it up and somebody spins.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, if it's a tuner's game too, that's going to be something to watch. Schweitzer, Shane T, Jeff Pierce. You got some titans in the tuning game going up in St. Louis too. So make sure to watch us. We'll be broadcasting live both Friday evening and I'll be on the mic. Saturday, all day, full day of racing live from Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway. It's the night of fire right there in Madison, Illinois. St. Louis. It's in St. Louis.
Jet cars. We have jet cars coming.
We have jet cars.
They're lighting a car on fire or something.
They're lighting a car on fire?
Yeah, I think it's so in the promo video I posted earlier today, it's like a car burn or something like that. I don't know what that means, but I like the way it sounds.
Dude,
you drive into the wrong parts of some St. Louis, you can see that.
Man, dude, I was going to say, man, I grew up on the east side of St. Louis, so I mean, I've seen that plenty. But to other people, that might be entertaining. I just call it a Tuesday. Or, the Blues or the Cardinals win the World Series or Stanley Cup, then they'll light some cars on fire too. But, I'm excited. It's my home track. Jet catching a car on fire. There you go.
Now we're talking. That sounds like fun.
Hey, that, by the way, is Richard Edward. I want to give Richard a shout out. He operated our camera. Our drone cam.
It's amazing.
And it will be in St. Louis. So get ready for that. I think that just about wraps us up. Narks, we had a little bit of a longer show, but there was so much to talk about at Flying H.
And so much that we really kind of didn't even get into that is in the press release that was sent out. And again, guys, find that stuff. Share that stuff. Tell your friends about the Midwest Drag Racing Series. Race car friends are the best kind of friends you can have.
Absolutely. And if you're in St. Louis, if you're one of my friends on Facebook, because I'm going to share this once I get done with the show, come on out to the show. All right. Come on out to the race. We're going to put on a product and you're going to love it. I promise you that. We're going to put on an absolute show for you. If you're within driving distance to St. Louis, maybe you have a car just for local classes. Come on out. We love our local racers too. If you're within driving distance and you don't have a car that works right now, or you've never been to the drag strip, come on out, man. We will show you a great time. All of our racers would love to talk to you, love to see you, love to, sell you a shirt and maybe even give you a shirt. They're really nice sometimes. And sign that shirt. They'll talk to you, man. Come on out. Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Yep. Awesome. All right, dude. Thank you very much, guys. We will see you soon. Do you want to give the weekend that we're going to be there, 28th and 29th?
Yes.
It's going to be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so let me go to our schedule here. Our race is going to be the Midwest Drag Racing Series Night of Fire and Thunder, June 28th and 29th in Madison, Illinois. You can, do believe, head on over to Stubwire for the tickets. I'll have to check that. I don't see the link there, but you can find more information online. Again, coming out, spectators, racers.
Yep.
Midwest Drag Racing Series Night of Fire and Thunder, June 28th and 29th, Friday and Saturday. And if you're a racer, there's testing as well. So we will see you guys there.
Bye. All right. Thanks, guys. See